Hi, today we're going to be talking about Module 2. So in Module 2, we're going to talk about proportions, about ratio. We're going to touch base on algebra and then also trigonometry. So before moving forward, in our discussion too, we talk a little bit about ourselves. We said about what we're studying, what we like, we are working, currently employed, and something really important that I asked you guys was to do your SWOT analysis. When you're doing your SWOT analysis, we usually do it for companies where we're trying to analyze what weaknesses, strengths they have, and then what opportunities and threats. So then remember, we always use it for companies, but it's also really interesting and important to do it in a field such as math. So we can learn a little bit more about elements that we have, we can control, the internal, such as strengths or weaknesses, or elements that we cannot control, that are out of our reach, which are the opportunities and then the threats. So then when we're talking about strengths, some of the things that you are good at, so then you know about it. You know about if you're good doing things on time, you're good about algebra, you're good with geometry, you enjoy fractions, you enjoy problem solving. But on the other hand, there is something that you don't like that much. You have a weakness. So then you probably have problems with problem solving or with units or conversions, or you probably have problems with procrastinating, which is something that I have encountered a lot. So then the first step is to acknowledge, know that you have it, and then trying to balance that out with someone who has that strength, or try to work toward improve that field. On the other hand, we have opportunities, which is something that is outside, and then for the opportunities, we have something that we can actually tap on. So then in this case, you are not good at something, but there are resources, there are tools. Like for example, you can actually talk to the Idea Center. They have a lot of courses, material. They actually have instructors that they can work around your time. They can help you with homework, not just for this class, but for many other classes. On the other hand, we also have threats. So when we're talking about threats, we're talking about something that you cannot control, but you need to be aware. An example of that is, let's say you want to start your own company, and then you are trying to understand how you are going to mark up things. But then again, math is not your skill, but it's really important because actually at least you need to know the numbers. So you can do a proper forecast, you can actually know about your price, you know about the cost, and then you can actually at least break even and then start making a revenue. So we're not going to touch base about that, but it is really important. So then if you don't have those skills, trying to polish in them, trying to find someone who can balance that portion out of it. So then moving forward, we're going to start talking about ratios. So then ratios in general, when we use a ratio, we're comparing two things. So then we're saying a ratio of something to something. So you can say a ratio of girls to boys, and it's like, for example, if I'm talking about the size of a class, so then we'll have a ratio of 5 of 3, which means for every 5 girls, I have 3 boys, for example, at fitting class. So here in the example, we actually can represent that ratio in 3 ways. We can use a fraction, which we can say as a fraction, we can say 3 divided by 6. We can use the 2, which is 3 to 6, and then we can use a colon, which means for every 3, we have a 6 of something else, which in this case, we are saying for every 3 squares, I have 6 circles. That is a really basic example. So now we're gonna use ratios and conversions to make things sense. So an example here, we have a sample. You need a sample from a company that operates in Brazil. But we are here in the US and we don't work with centimeters. You need 30 inches. So then we're talking that you need 30 inches to design the new collection. And then we know already that there is a proportion, there is a conversion, that for 12 inches is equal to 30.48 centimeters. So we can create here a relationship among inches and centimeters, and we can say inches to centimeters. There is a ratio, there is a proportion, which means 12 inches to 30.48 is equal to the 30 inches that I need, but I don't know what is the number of that in centimeters. So then in this point, I have this 12 divided by 30.48 is equal to 30 divided by an x. This x is the unknown variable. This is something that I don't know. So then in this case, if I want to solve, I can do a cross multiplication. If I can do a cross multiplication, this will be 12x is equal to 30 times 30.48. I'm going to do this so we don't get confused. And I can actually here use my calculator. You can use your cell phone, you can use your calculator, you can actually go online. So I have 30 times 30.48, and I'm doing this because I do really want to be accurate. 914.4, there we go, is equal to 12x. So then here we're going to see later, if you don't recall this, when we are trying to solve an equation, when we have an x and we need to balance things out and we need to cancel things, the x always needs to be by herself. That's the unknown, that's what we want to know. So then in this case, the x is next to a 12, but that 12 is multiplying, so then we need to do the opposite. And then remember, the opposite of multiplication is division. Just like the opposite of addition is subtraction, and vice versa. So if I have 12, I can just divide, but I need to divide by both sides because this is an equality. I cannot disturb that balance. So then I can just cancel this 12, and then I can just say x is equal to 914.4 divided by 12. And that is 76.6 centimeters. Yayo. Now, remember I showed you another way of finding this, and I'm going to do it right now so that we can compare the answers. So then in this case, I laid out the equation by using the ratio, by using the way that they have a proportion. So then another way of doing it is by laying out the equation in a way that I know the proportion between inches and centimeters. So then I know already that 12 inches are equal to 30.48. If I need 30 inches, how many centimeters do I need? So I'm gonna check, this is the unknown variable, so I go next to my neighbor, which is 30, and I'm gonna multiply with my neighbor who is diagonal, and whatever is the result, I'm gonna divide it. So then this will be 30 times 30.48 divided by 12. That is equal an x. So then in this case, I have again 30 times 30.48 equal to 914.4 divided by 12. That is 76.2. And if you go and check the answer that we did earlier, you're going to realize that it's exactly the same. Just to be careful, at this point you need to know what does that mean. So then that's one of the downsides, is that sometimes people here may forget. But here we're talking about what? Centimeters. So then the solution is that we need 76.2 centimeters. So when we call a Brazilian company, we call it and we request 76.2 centimeters. So I'm having issues with my battery, with my computer, so let me see. So we can actually move forward and then know about ratios. So then yes, we have ratios and rate.